Welcome to the Fantasy HQ podcast, all things NRL Fantasy. Find us on YouTube, Spotify, and Facebook. Your hosts, Frosty and Stevo. Welcome everyone for another potty on the Fantasy HQ, all things NRL Fantasy podcast. I'm your host, Stevo, and joined here with Frosty. How's it going?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Stevo. Enjoying this second week back in. Really looking forward to the season ahead. So roll on the trial games of the Las Vegas teams this weekend.
And today we're talking about some approaches that we need to take when playing fantasy and heading into the season. So if you want to kick us off, Frosty, with some approaches.
Yeah, sounds good. Last episode, if you haven't quite seen it, we built our Fantasy HQ team together. And we just talked through the different thoughts when it comes to building your fantasy team, starting with your captain, getting your gun at each position, and then building out your starting 13 from there, and then getting a nice balanced bench to cover every position. So jump into that one. We're super excited. We've got an overall league this year. The code will be in the description, so feel free to jump in and see if you can take that team down. We'll be doing a wee update each week of our trades and ranks and how we're going. So really looking forward to that part. And yeah, as Stevo said, when it does come to building your team, there isn't just one approach to fantasy, and that's the beauty and the fun of it. And so we thought we'd spend some time today just jumping into some of those, so you can get your thinking hat on, and you might change tack. A lot of us get stuck in our own ways. Is it the best? Not necessarily. So one that's an absolute coach killer, fantasy killer, that never will ever give you a chance is the big name approach or the well-known player approach. And they're the type of origin, international level players. And for those that have just watched years of NRL or maybe they've just started, they're well-known. And you go, oh, they're good in real life. That must be good in fantasy. But there's just some players that their game doesn't relate to fantasy. And us experienced coaches understand that, but can be a coach killer for less experienced players. So your Jerome Luais of the world, your Roger Tuivasa-Sheck for us Kiwis, Adam Reynolds could be in there, Dane Gagai. They can get chucked in, and then coaches are confused at why they're scoring 500 fantasy points a week, and that these guys are averaging 30 to 35. And so for us, that one's straight off the bat because that's a big no-go. So if that's you, feel free to listen to our previous episodes. There'll be some knowledge inside in there to try to turn this around, and maybe even one of these upcoming ones you'll be able to try out. Stevo, ever been caught out by the big name, well-known approach?
Absolutely. I think my first year of playing fantasy, about 5 years ago, had no clue, sort of chucked in the night before, well, the day of round one to jump in a league. So I'm just chucking in anyone I know. And at that stage, I was just chucking David Fafita. That was a good one at the time.
Yeah.
But I chucked in like the likes of Dane Gagai. I know I got lucky. To be honest, I got lucky. Dane Gagai had a sterling start to the season and went on to make 200k for me. And then you told me to sell him. And I was like, what?
I remember this.
Why would I sell Dane Gagai when he's scoring 60s for fun? Or he might have scored an 85 or something. And you're like,
yeah,
no, he's not gonna continue doing that. And I was in disbelief, but I listened to you. I think at that time I got in like a Stephen Crichton or someone that was a cheapie for the Panthers. So, I mean, I had no clue who Crichton was at that stage because he was pretty new, and Dane Gagai was my Queensland favourite. So,
yeah,
I think that's it. Most new people, and we had a conversation with someone from the cricket team on the weekend that, half the players that you and I are selecting, he's never heard of, because they're not you're not their big names at the clubs. They're the young guys, they're up and comers, they're getting a new role. That's why they're making money. That's why they're fantasy relevant, and that's what's important when it comes to making money in fantasy. And at the end of the day, making money is probably the most important thing to do, along with scoring points. So if you don't make money throughout the season, you're not going to end up with a team that's competing at the end of the season. So making money is important, and that means getting some names that maybe you don't know, but that also means you're learning more, you're watching more games, you're watching more players, and you end up knowing everyone in the league.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And I do remember that Dane Gagai thing like it was yesterday. And I think about 6, 7 weeks later, he'd bottomed out at about 400, 450K. And yeah, you dodged a bullet there. So,
Yeah.
um, I mean, Stephen Crichton's another one, like probably the game's best centre, but you just don't touch him in fantasy because he's going to give you 30 to 35 points. Um, so, yeah, big one there for coaches. Uh, you know, maybe a viable option. We'll get into these. Depending on the season, depending on your luck. Some coaches like to go pack heavy, average or weak backs, and that's because in NRL Fantasy, your forwards have those base stats. They get the tackles, the meters, and they can have a base stats of 45 to 50, where backs are lucky if their base is 20. And um, I've used this a couple times, but you just need to make sure you don't get too caught out going too far that way. This year we've spoken about it in multiple episodes already. Centre is horrendous for options, and wing fullback really isn't much better when it comes to your depth options. And so you can find yourself really struggling. And yes, your forward pack might be really good, but those mid ranges, your Cobbos has won this year. Some of the cheapies, the Macassinis, the Chester, if they don't turn out and they're scoring 27, 30 compared to your Turbos or your Teddies, your Walshes of 50, 55, you're still leaking 20, 25 points. So um, it is common across the years, but just don't be too overcommittal and forget about your back five. So any experience there, Steve, or any thoughts, insights to pack heavy, back light?
Yeah, I mean, tip in previous seasons, I have gone really pack heavy, put most of my money there, and then gone extremely light in the backs. But
Yeah,
the previous couple of seasons sort of worked that way where there's been good options, cheap options to do. Um,
yeah,
like previously we had, in a couple of years ago, we had Nicholas Hines as a fullback option when he first went to half, and he went fantastic. Um, Last season, where there was quite a few centre options that were decent, the likes of Shibasaki. There was a few others
yeah,
that went really well, so there was options there. This year, we've got a different approach when we built our team because we went a bit. We made sure we had a gun at each position. We had a gun in
yeah,
centres in Herbie, and we had a gun at fullback in Carraz. Um, and we sort of built around that. And the way we could do that was because there was some really good pot options and cheapies in the mids and in the edges. So
yeah,
we were fortunate. The likes of the Stewart and Mooney, even for Feeder and McEwen, they were all those mid range players, and we weren't having to spend up big. So
yeah,
yeah, I think. And similar for us in the halves. We spent lower in halves this year than probably most other years. Previous years, like I'd start with the Cleary. This year, I'm considering not, and we haven't for our team that we did earlier tonight. So, yeah, I think this is the year to maybe spread it amongst the team and not go too heavy one way or the other. Um,
yeah,
yeah, and we still got three big guys. So, if you haven't seen already, we've taken a bit of a risky option. We went Haas, we went Herbie.
yeah,
But then we also went to Real May, and we think he's a good option to bring us back points that others won't because he's only around that 10% owned. And a lot of those people might be people from just new and from last year um, rather than your serious coaches. And, I'm hoping that pays out for us and we can get a bit of a run early and get a bit of a
yeah.
lead on some people.
Yeah, and then we balanced it out because people will be thinking, well, boys, you've gone pack heavy with Haas and May, but then we've balanced it out because we've got Mooney starting alongside him at 450k. We've got McEwen at the edge at 412ish k, and David Feeder with the pack at 500k. So there's no one there in the other three spots above 500k. So it's not pack heavy. If we chucked in an Angus Crichton instead of McEwen, and we chucked in At Preston, then certainly we've gone pack heavy. We've committed guns left, right, and centre with only one mid-range or a cheapie, but we have done a good job of balancing that. So the other option instead of pack heavy, back light is the reverse. Back heavy, pack light. Now this one is for the adventurous coaches, and
Yeah.
I have tried this once before a couple of years ago, and it just looks pretty, and you're full of confidence. Going into round one, Teddy, a Drinkwater, a Walsh, and you're just going, here comes 55 points from each of them, 160 odd points across the three spots. I'm gonna kill fantasy. I'm gonna win it. Reality is, attack always starts slow in the NRL. Defense is always on top. They're low scoring games. Teams got to just figure out the combinations. Yes, they do reps and reps at training, but until they get an actual opposition who are after those two competition points, it doesn't mean too much. And so you're lucky if one of the three average 50, maybe even 45. And so, yeah, we strongly advise coaches, I learnt the hard way, to never ever be back heavy, pack light. We have mentioned centres are light this year, wing fullback. There's a couple options, but the depth certainly isn't there like previous years. And so we have seen some teams roll through with the likes of a Teddy, a Walsh, a Failongo, even a Drinkwater in there, Kinney from the Titans. So some coaches out there are looking to stack that wing fullback, maybe saving some trades. What are your thoughts there for this year in particular, Stevo? You think that's an okay option?
Yeah. I mean, you said it. It's your risky option.
Yeah.
It's risky because the likes of Walsh, he could come out and get 85, or he'd come out and get -1.
Yeah.
And we saw that last season, and like you say, he started really slow, and look how he finished. So a lot of those winger fullbacks, my idea is hoping that a few of them lose 50 to 100k, and then I
Yeah.
can pick them up, and I've already made money, hopefully, on some of the likes of Will Penasini. If Will Penasini over the first 8 rounds can make 100k because he's playing back with Moses, then it already puts me up nearing to be able to trade it for someone else that's
Yeah.
making me money. So that's the way I see it. I'm not the sort of fantasy coach that risks it with the likes of a Walsh and Latrell Mitchell and a Carez. I'll go one of
Yeah.
them, and I'll go Carez in the back, but I will definitely
Yeah.
won't go all three of them. Um, I'd rather make sure I've got a good bench scorers. I've got a good wide team where I sort of can rely on 17, 18, 19 from round one,
Yeah.
rather than having 8 250k players on the bench because I've gone too heavy in the backs.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And some of those coaches with their teams coming through are exactly that. They're backing on all that news and insight and maybe hope that Patsons and Macassinis and Chester and all these guys are going to land their spot. And reality again is in fantasy, of those 8 to 12 guys, 4 or 5 might. And so I think what a lot of these coaches will find who are stacking the wing fullback spot in particular is come that first round of Teamless Tuesday, is they're going to have to revert two of those to mid ranges or cheapies because they just won't have the cash there to have that balanced team, the depth in the team. And like you say, these days fantasy's changed with the buys coming in. It's not just your 17. You do need 18, 19 solid players because you can easily have two from a team. And if you don't have that depth, you're not really going to be a chance at the pointing end, the top 1,000, the top 5,000, or just bettering your rank. Like some coaches, we're all just after bettering our rank than the previous year or the last couple of years. And if you don't have the depth of your team, because you've overcommitted at the wing fullback position or any position for that matter, it just hurts your chances, doesn't it?
Certainly does.
Yeah,
Anyway, Frosty, I think that's a good little bit of insight for anyone sort of looking at approach into round one or into the season and how to build their team. So thanks for the insights. And for everyone watching, please do subscribe. And if you've followed this far through, look down the description and join our overall league and see how you fare against us. Anyway, thanks, Frosty.
Always a pleasure, Stevo.
Cheers. We appreciate your support for the Fantasy HQ podcast, all things NRL Fantasy. Subscribe on YouTube, follow on Spotify and Facebook, and most importantly, thanks for watching.